Okay, so here's a little note that's helpful in picking harmonica to play. Now, the pentatonic scale, penta is like Latin for five. So pentatonic scale has five notes. So we were only taking seven at a time, and now we're only taking five. So it's kind of cutting down the number of notes you have to even think about, which is always nice. So the pentatonic scale has the same notes in the Aeolian and the Dorian modes, which is, you might say, oh, okay, well, so what? But it's very interesting. So if on your harmonica, due to the limitations of the harmonica, you are limited to playing Dorian mode in a certain key, because maybe you don't have the proper harmonica. Maybe you only have three or four, and the one that you need to play a mode is not there. So if you're limited to Dorian mode in a certain key, then you can still play blues, which is typically the minor mode, Aeolian mode. You can still play improvisational music in that key if you are limited to Dorian mode, because the pentatonic scale is the same in Dorian and Aeolian modes. And we're going to go through some examples here. So let's say if you have a C major harp and you want to play blues in D minor, Aeolian. So the minor pentatonic scale, the five notes, which five notes? It's the first, it skips the second, so it's the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, skips the sixth, and it plays the seventh. So first, third, fourth, fifth, seventh. That's the minor pentatonic scale, right? What's the Dorian notes? Dorian is somewhat of a minor type key. It's pretty close, but so we're going to use the same notes: first, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, and you can see in D Dorian, the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the seventh results in D, F, G, A, C. Now, you can see there's no sharps or flats. So on the C major harmonica, you can play D Dorian diatonically. You don't have to bend any extra notes, just the ones that are those ones that we talked about before, those two in the lower register and the one in the upper register. So you can just play diatonically, and because it's the second mode in the C major mode chart. Remember that? So we started in the mode chart started on C, and that was C major Ionian, and then the next one was Dorian, and that starts on the second note, and it's D, and so you can play D Dorian mode in on the C harmonica diatonically. That's the easiest approach. Oh yeah, and here's a little picture of that chart. Now, let's look at D Aeolian minor scale, and let's get the first, third, fourth, fifth, and seventh. They're the same notes: D, F, G, A, and C. The only note that's different is the sixth, and so you can play Aeolian mode diatonically if you just avoid that sixth scale degree. Same notes: D, F, G, A, C. So by playing D Dorian pentatonic, achieves the ability to play blues in that position on a C harp in the key of D. So the same principle goes for the Phrygian and the Aeolian mode pentatonic scales. So if you're limited to Phrygian mode, say in fifth position, for example, then you can still play blues improvisation in that key. Phrygian is not a very commonly played mode in Western music, but because the pentatonic scale for Phrygian and Aeolian are the same, you can play in that odd diatonic mode and still play Aeolian mode improvisational music. So let's do the example here. So here's the C major harp again, and you want to play blues in E minor, Aeolian, right? So the minor pentatonic again, first, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, And then now let's look at that E Phrygian scale. So it's E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. No sharps or flats. So this is one of those, the third mode from the C Ionian mode chart. So you can play E Phrygian diatonically because it's the third mode, and there it is right there. That's the third mode. Starts with E, and it's got the half steps between the first and second, and the fifth and sixth. And so but we're not playing the sixth, and we're not playing the second, and so we're just playing E, G, A, B, and D. All right, now the E minor Aeolian is the same notes, except there's an F sharp in there, but that's the second note, and the second note is not part of the pentatonic, right? So we can get away with it. We can get away. You can play E Phrygian diatonically and avoiding that second scale degree, and play improvise in minor, so you can play blues in fifth position. There's the notes: E, G, A, B, D. And again, just being aware that E Phrygian is the fifth position, and you can get away with it if you just knowing these little tricks and understanding the modes. It's very helpful. It's not rocket science. It's pretty simple, but you just have to kind of think about it a lot, and eventually it just becomes second nature over time. One more example. Similarly, the same thing goes for Ionian, which is major mode, Ionian mode, and Lydian mode, pentatonic scale. So if you're limited to the Lydian mode in 12th position, for example, then you can still play major Ionian song improvisations in that key. Here's another example here. So let's go back to that C major harp, and you want to improvise in F major, okay, Ionian mode. Now, notice here the major pentatonic scale has 5 notes as well, but it's not the same notes as the minor pentatonic. Minor pentatonic was 1, 3, 4, 5, 7. The major pentatonic is 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So here's the F Lydian scale, and you can see it's F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F. Half steps are between 4 and 5 and 7 and 8, and the notes are F, G, A, C, D, and those are all diatonic to the C major harmonica, right? There's no sharps or flats there. And here's that little picture there. And so Lydian is the fourth. It's the fourth mode on the C mode chart. So now let's look at our target key, and what we want to play in is F major. And so the F major has 1 flat, and it's the B flat, but it's the fourth scale degree, and that's not part of the major pentatonic scale. So if we avoid it, we can get away with playing F major in 12th position on a C major harp. There's our same notes, and then playing and being aware that Lydian is there in the 12th position, and that we can play major. Being aware of that helps us achieve that goal. So the previous example showed the importance of understanding the modes to overcome some challenges in selecting a harp key to play for a song. An important point is to remember to flat or sharp the appropriate non-pentatonic note if you decide to, or if you have to use it while playing. For example, if there's an established melody that you need to play, because if you're improvising, you can just avoid it. You can just skip it. But if you're trying to play a melody and it's in major, all likelihood is that note is going to appear somewhere in the melody, and so you're going to have to know how to play it. Just be aware of that. So for the Dorian and the Lydian examples, this non-pentatonic note, the one that is not in the pentatonic, it's what I refer to as the first next flat. And this note is already part of my normal playing strategy. So on the Dorian and the Lydian examples, I would already be kind of incorporating that note that I'm maybe going to try and skip. But since I use it to practice, it's not going to be a big deal for me to know how to do it if I'm on stage. Now, for the Phrygian example, the non-pentatonic note is what I referred to as the first next sharp. And this note is not part of my normal playing strategy, but I did practice it, pretty often over the course of the 3,000 hours. I practiced it quite a bit, but not nearly as much as playing the flat. And I'll be explaining all this in great detail in subsequent videos.